President Muhammadu Buhari meets Nigerians in Poland, dismisses as wicked insinuations that he is a clone.
A lot of people hoped that I was dead and hoped I died. And poor Vice President, I understand some people have started, in fact, asking for his office, whether he should consider them for being the Vice President because I was dead.
Police deploy more personnel to the northeast, say no jihadist movements in Sokoto State.
That they are not going to participate in the World Cup, they will go and bring it back to us again.
Victorious Super Falcons return home to a rousing welcome.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we examine the manifesto and programs of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria.
We shall also discuss the triumph of the Super Falcons at the just concluded 11th African Women Cup of Nations. The clock keeps ticking as Nigerians count down to the much anticipated 2019 general elections, which are just about 75 days away.
And of course, the course is now clear for candidates and their political parties to set their agenda to the electorate by canvassing for their votes.
And there is already an increasing momentum in the various camps of political parties who have fielded candidates for various offices, including the presidency. So much is going on, especially in the media, both conventional and social, about who is the best candidate.
And for us at the Nigerian Television Authority, we remain committed to adequately informing our viewers on what the political parties and their candidates are offering so as to enable the electorate make informed decisions, which is why this morning we are, of course, continuing with our conversation with the various political parties. We've already last week had the APC, the PDP, as well as the SDP and the candidate of the YPP.
Now, according to the party's manifesto, its mission is to pursue equality, justice, liberty, peace, economic and political progress, and the general prosperity of Nigerians.
All right, now there's a lot that the party claims it will do if voted into power, which of course, as Kieran has indicated, we shall interrogate this morning, as we take on some of its officials as well as its presidential candidate, Dr. Davidson Isibo Ahime.
Also this morning, we shall relish the triumph of the Super Falcons of Nigeria and who have dusted other competitors to emerge African champions for the 9th time at the Africa Women Cup of Nations, Ghana 2018.
Indeed, Nigerians are elated by the victory and have since welcomed the victorious team who arrived the country yesterday. The question is, what next for the Super Falcons? Can they carry this feat to the world stage? This and more we shall discuss on Good Morning Nigeria today. And so on that note, we'd like to welcome you to today's edition of the program. And we're reaching you as always live on Africa's largest television network. We're right here at the Abuja headquarters studios. It's the Nigerian Television Authority. My name is Kingsley Osadolo.
And I am Kirian Umayo. It's good to have you join us this morning on the very first edition of the program for the week. We will also bring you our companion segments, which include newspaper review, business, sports, foreign, and entertainment news. But first, let's take the news highlights from Fatima Umaru.
Thank you very much, Kingsley and Kieran. You're all welcome to the news highlights. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally reacted to insinuations in some quarters regarding his rumored cloning, describing the peddlers of such rumors as irreligious people who preferred he was dead. The president told Nigerians in Krakow, Poland, that he was the real Buhari.
Irreligious. Somebody says that I am cloned. A lot of people hoped that I was dead and hoped I died. And poor Vice President, I answered some people have started, in fact, asking for his office whether he should consider them for being the Vice President because I was dead. They must have embarrassed him a lot because he visited me when I was London convalescent. But it's really me, I assure you. I will soon celebrate my 70th birthday, and I'm still going strong.
And the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has arrived in Istanbul, Turkey, ahead of the UNWTO UNESCO World Conference on Tourism and Culture, where he is expected to showcase Nigeria's potential in culture and tourism and seek global patronage.
This administration in particular has put a lot of emphasis on tourism because we see it again as another way of diversifying the economy. But you see, the unique thing about tourism is that it not only diversifies the economy, but it's one of the most potent tools of inclusion. It's the only industry so far that is rooted in the people.
And back home, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, has charged the Armed Forces Special Forces deployed to the ongoing counterterrorism operations to make a difference and impact positively due to unique training and tactics. The Army Chief, who gave the charge while addressing the Special Forces in Maiduguri, Borno State, directed them to be proactive in sniffing out the criminals.
A bunch of criminals, bunch of illiterates, just a matter of raising up and standing to say no to their propaganda, to say no to their vain and invalid threats. From 2015 to date, everybody has seen the achievements of the armed forces here on the ground. It's very clear.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has deployed 2,000 personnel comprising police mobile force, counter-terrorism unit and sniffer dogs to complement Operation Lafia Dole operations in the northeast. The counter-terrorism unit of the force has 1,250 special trained personnel, 300 personnel from the anti-bomb squad and over 100 sniffer dogs.
It is of significant note that the Police Mobile Force Unit personnel, counter-terrorist unit, anti-bomb squad, the department that we regard to as the Explosive Ordnance Department, the Sniffer Dog Section, and the Federal Anti-Robbery Squads and conventional police personnel have been fighting along with the military in the front line.
In another development, the Sokoto State Police Command says there are no members of jihadist movement in Sokoto State.
Making sure that completely we're crime mapping the area that is called Tangaza to make sure that we look after Tangaza and of course Sokoto as a state and keep safety back here.
And General Yakubu Gowon has called on Nigerians not to relent in their prayers for the peaceful coexistence of the people of the country. The former head of state made the call when he joined Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the December edition of the monthly Aso Villa Chapel Thanksgiving service in Abuja.
Every cause to be extremely thankful to God. This has been a year where God has shown his faithfulness in so many ways. And I think that what God is also telling us is that the coming months and the coming years will be even better. Our country is going forward. Our country is getting better and better. Our country will prosper. Our country will be a country of abundance. All of us will enjoy the fruit of this land. So my message is that we should continually thank God.
And that's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Kieran and Kingsley right after the break.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
The 30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
I am Barrister Bola Kale Yusuf, the Baale of Bodesadu. I like to use this opportunity to thank the federal government, especially apart from all other novel programs that has reached the grassroots people. I want to thank them for the National Household Cash Transfer Scheme. For the first time, probably in the political history of Nigeria, it has never happened that people who are in hamlet, I'm talking about Manda, Salanga, Lasaki, Ajegunle, Ajia, Elemere, all these are inner villages that ordinarily government policy don't ever get to them, not to talk of a direct intervention in their financial well-being. I commend this project and I wish that it goes on because it is touching the people that actually need government attention.
To anyone who ever pushed me to go further.
Come on, one more.
To anyone who ever gave me a hand up. To anyone who ever taught me anything I ever learned. To those who work together to set the bar higher. To those who give me the energy to go further. This is my team, and my team makes me.
Who am I? I'm a caregiver, a slayer,
Gifted,
a boss lady, a foodie. I am the chief quality inspector and chief organizer.
And when I'm cooking with my Maggie Star, I become a kitchen grand master.
Every day, you choose to make the difference. That's why you choose Maggie Star, made from natural soya beans and other carefully selected ingredients to help you cook the difference.
I am the Chief Enjoyment Officer, and I'm the magnet that brings my family together. Need I say more? But best of all, I love what I do.
With Maggie, cook the difference.
It's okay, I'm okay.
What happened?
It's just a little scratch, Mom. How can I play with bigger boys if I'm afraid of little scratches, right?
What comforts a mother most is to see her child growing up.
Done, I'll go.
Of course. But I know that as he learns to be brave, he'll face even more germs and the risk of infection.
That's why you need Dettol protection, because Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
And the program is Good Morning Nigeria, and we thank you for keeping it here with us. Now to business. Trade ministers of the ECOWAS region reiterate commitment to increase intra-African trade within to 46.5%. These and more on Business News with Chimaobi Watanaji.
Trade ministers of the ECOWAS region has risen from the 9th West African Monetary Zone Trade Ministers meeting with a resolve to increase intra-African trade within the region to about 46.5% to further deepen trade relations among member states. This was included in the summary of the report presented at the 5th meeting of the Technical Committee of West African Monetary Zone. Other issues that resonated at the meeting include ways to fast-track the single currency drive within the region and improving infrastructure for trade facilitation.
One of the key challenges we find today is that as countries in the West African area, the reality is that we trade more with people that are thousands of kilometers away from us than with ourselves. And to do that, there are various things that we must do, policies we must adopt, remove barriers to our trading issue.
The idea is to make sure that we come together as a region, identify those things that can make us more involved in the international trade.
Infrastructure. In our own country, particularly Sierra Leone, we realize that we link to two neighboring countries, that is Guinea and Liberia, and our main mode of transportation is by road. And as a nation, as a country, we're now doing our international highway.
It was the view of the trade ministers that African countries direct its attention to processing its goods to finished goods so as to gain more from its raw materials, which usually is exported overseas. And meanwhile, experts have advocated caution among traders in the foreign exchange market as forex trading becomes volatile. They reiterated the need for traders in the financial market to approach it with knowledge so as to gain maximum satisfaction.
So currencies have been quite volatile, but unlike stocks, for example, in which you can make money only when the stocks rise, unless you use derivatives, but this is quite complex kind of approach. In the currency markets, on the spot market, you can actually make money whatever the direction of the market is. Of course, you have to have the tool to manage this volatility properly.
Some of the traders believe the market can impact the nation's economy positively with appropriate regulations.
You need a lot of information. You need a lot of skills. You need a lot of fundamental analysis.
And now to the Nigerian Stock Exchange. A total turnover of 1.199 billion shares worth 14.277 billion naira in 15,841 deals were traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange, in contrast to a total of 1.282 billion shares valued at 23.142 billion naira that exchanged hands last week in 11,467 deals. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 963.315 million shares, valued at 7.536 billion naira, traded in 8,871 deals, thereby contributing 80.38%
to the total equity turnover volume and value respectively. With Business News, I'm Chimobi Walter Naji.
Thank you very much there, Walter Chimobi Walter Naji, rather, for the business package on Good Morning Nigeria. Next for us now, we'll take a look at the front pages of some of today's newspapers that we have with us. Our newspaper reviewer, Bayo Atoyebe, is right here with us in the studios for our review session. Bayo, good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Kinsley. Good morning. Good morning,
yeah,
Nigeria.
good morning, Bayo, and welcome. Now, let's say a kick start with the new Telegraph, and let's go straight also to the main headline on the new Telegraph, which I'm sure Kinsley also has in the two newspapers within there. Right. Now, Buhari, people wished me dead, lobbied Oshimbajo. Says, I am real, not cloned. President will celebrate 76th birthday.
Okay, you have, I think you have other riders there.
Yeah, the riders are not connected to the...
Okay, fantastic. Well, let me just take the other headlines too from the Daily Trust newspaper on the same subject matter. It's the lead story and it's also the lead for Daily Independent. For the Daily Trust, it says, it's ignorant and irreligious to say I'm cloned. That's according to President Buhari. And then the photograph on the front page there of the paper shows the president addressing some Nigerians in the diaspora that took place in Krakow in Poland yesterday. You can see the president there with some senior government officials during the course of interaction with the Nigerians. Now, it's the lead story, as I said, for the Daily Independent. I'm not dead, and I'm not Jibril from Sudan. That's according to President Buhari, and the photograph is also illustrating it there, showing the president and Minister of Foreign Affairs and other government officials during the interaction with Nigerians in Poland. Bayo, let's begin with that story before we take others.
Exactly, and to actually add something before Bayo steps in, it was reported this morning at one of the radio stations that operate in Abuja that the issue of the president being cloned has been transmitted 500,000 times on the social media.
Yes, it was a lie that was started on September 3rd on a platform that says at Sam Eze, and it got caught on like wildfire. Well, for nothing, because this is political error and any falsity will catch on. And the president has said that, well, he told Nigerians in Krakow, Poland, where he's attending a conference, that he is the real Buhari that the world has known. And he simply said people were hoping that he would die when he was ill. And he said he will soon celebrate his 76th birthday, and he's still strong. He complained that, however, that he seems to have so many grandchildren. However, talking seriously about this, in politics, people seem to peddle any false claim, and strangely in our nation, it tends to catch on. Even Molly, the sheep that was cloned, it was only a baby sheep. It's required to grow to maturity before it can come very close to its mother. Even then, it was not known to have inherited the idiosyncrasies of the mother. But come to think of it, even a scientist, a professor of genetics, had put out the scientific explanation to say that it is not possible to clone a person. If you have to do that, you need to obtain what he described as some topotenic cells, and it will undergo some development to produce a fetus. And even then, that fetus, that baby, will have to grow to age 75 before he can stand in the stead of the person he's supposed to have been the clone of. But to keep the lie alive, do you know what they did on social media? They published of the photograph of the president writing, but they published it on the reverse side. And so they showed him writing with the left and say, when you are president, suddenly start writing with the left, what do you think? So the people who are carrying it out create an impression that by repeating a lie several times, it will become a truth. And those who have accepted it, unfortunately, have had their minds cloned.
Yeah. And shortly before we started this program, Kingsley and I, we were discussing the issue of the right word that they should have put out in the first place. That cloning should have been the right word. Kingsley has...
That's right, that's right. I think that it is important to actually lay this to rest, and it's significant that the president himself has addressed the issue. But it is not cloning, it's the question of a body double. Yes, the geneticists who were talking about cloning, I believe, got it wrong. The issue is one of body double, and there were all kinds of things that were put out there in the social media. You recall, there was one photograph they showed that in 2015, President Buhari was taller than Saraki. In 2018, Saraki is now taller than the president. Then you could see the way they also photoshopped parts of his face, his chin, his jaw, his neck muscles, to show that this is a younger person and not. But if you looked closely in terms of watching, the antics of those persons who Photoshop, you will see that those things were wrong. Now, if you saw the president yesterday, you could see his neck muscles indicated that listen, he's an old man, he's a grandfather,
exactly.
And he has said that listen, I'm not Jibril Al Sudani. That's the most important thing, and that the significant point is that President Buhari is not a body double. Not cloning is out of the question. Maybe they just use that loosely. Yeah. But it's not a body double. It's the same president that we have known over the years, the same Buhari that we have known.
Even the idea of a body double. Yes. Body doubles are used as a security safety valve, where there's a threat. Then you have two persons who look alike, so that you don't know which of the two is real. In most instances, the two bodies move together.
That's right.
It's so ridiculous. We shouldn't give it even any attention, because giving this a lie.
All right, but let's go to some other.
Bury the lie.
Bury the lie.
Exactly. And in some quarters, they say that's not how politics should be played when it has to do with somebody's life. Okay, now let's move on and return to the New Telegraph. There are striking stories here on the New Telegraph. Above the nameplate, we have fuel scarcity looms as marketers give federal government 7-day ultimatum. Demand 800 billion naira subsidy payment, of course, firms to sack workers. That's the two riders to that story. Now, below the nameplate of the New Telegraph, we have other stories. Federal government yet to release $1 billion to fight Boko Haram, says the army. The details on page 8. Now, stock market shelved 581 billion naira in November. That's on page 10 of New Telegraph. Call for IGP INEC board sack. APC raises red flag on PDP's demand. Details on page 9. 19 children drowned in Kwara boat accident on page 37. And one of the writers on the lead story of a New Telegraph that I didn't read earlier on was a VP. Says Nigeria will soon become nation of abundance. And then from God answers genuine prayers. And now below the photograph of the New Telegraph, we have 2019 crisis brews in PDP campaign council. Atiku's loyalists fault Saraki, that's one of the writers, and Niger Delta warlords mobilized for XVP. Details on page 9. That's all on the Telegraph.
Okay, Daily Trust newspaper, we have some of the stories as well. Just below the nameplate, oil marketers give federal government 7 days to settle 800 billion naira subsidy debt. That's on page 21. But I'd like you to speak to this, but I'm just pointing it out because it's also there on the front page of the Daily Independent. Above the nameplate, it says fuel scarcity looms as marketers give federal government 7-day ultimatum, and stakeholders urge caution, ask government to consider food deregulation. The fact that you are giving ultimatum means that fuel scarcity is already looming. All right, 19 children drowned in Kwara boat mishap. That's page 4. And below the photograph on the front page, right at the foot of the paper, it says EFCC says 500 million naira property traced to junk. Page 3. Atiku kicks off campaign in Sokoto today. That's page 5. And PSC, that's Police Service Commission, approves promotion of 239 senior police officers. Very quickly, too, back again to the Daily Independent newspaper. You have the story. That's the second lead story now on the bottom half of the paper. It says, why Southeast governors are foot dragging over Atiku's presidential ambition. With a writer, I'm leading Atiku's campaign in South-South. That's according to Governor Wike of Rivers. And other headlines from there, Boko Haram, military weakened by lack of coordination. That's attributed to Dambazau's age.
Well, let's start with the human interest story of 19 people drowning in this was people moving between Lafiaji, and they were going to a wedding ceremony in neighboring Niger State. Again, there were about 22 persons on the boat, and unfortunately it capsized. Majority of those who were involved were actually children. 12 of them have been confirmed dead, but they are not too sure about the rest. So the range is between 12 and 19. And we have said repeatedly here, when you have to embark on transportation over rivers, there is need to have life belts. It will go a long way in remedying that. Now, talking about another political lie, the Daily Trust reported that the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, actually traveled to the United Kingdom on Thursday and has since returned to Nigeria, and he's to kick off his campaign today. Already there was speculation that he had traveled to United States already. A mountain was made out of the fact that he had applied for a visa. The United States Embassy had begun a clarification that application for a visa is a personal thing, is a private thing to every individual. And it has also clarified that it is not true that he has applied for any visa. Meanwhile, there was also another lie. We said that Governor Nyesom Wike of the Rivers State has resigned his position as the coordinator of the People's Democratic Campaign for the South-South. He has also indicated that it is a lie. He is still in charge of the coordination. So in this era of campaign, a lot of falsity have been put up there, and we have to be very careful to sift the grains from the chaff.
All right, Bayo, there's this story. We don't have it on the front pages of the papers this morning, the papers that we have with us. I'm sure, we all will have encountered the story. There's some place in called Yauri in Kebbi State. Some young persons engaged in seeking to count the number of millet grains in a sack. It took them several weeks. Some indicated that some around 3 or around 5 days it took them. And that at the end of the day, the figure they got was nearly 12 million grains of millet in a 100-kilogram sack.
Yes, it's just social gathering between youths, and they were arguing that, look, if you have a sack of millet, the number of grains in it will be more than Nigerians.
That's right.
So it became an argument between them, and so they chose to make it practical. And this has not idled you to. Many of them have their own work, but they chose to devote some days, a number of days, months, sitting down every evening, counting the grains. Some of them took it upon themselves to pick out those that had dropped, and at the end, they found that there are 11 million and some...
Yeah, 11,979,868 grains.
In a bag
in a sack.
A sack of millet.
Of millet.
So it didn't get to the population of Nigeria.
Yeah.
So they've just been able to satisfy the curiosity about that argument.
That's right.
Some might say it is social idleness, but again, it's a question of determination, because these are persons, some of them are farmers who are benefiting from the current farming revolution going on in that part of the country.
It's to be commended, actually. It's to be commended. I once met a young man. He was on a television program many years ago. And he could, if you told him your date of birth, he could tell you what day of the week it was, straight away.
There's a mathematical formula about that.
I don't know. I'm on my
because if you don't know about it, they will be able to surprise you with it.
All right. Now, let's turn to the Punch newspaper. We have one story there. The main headline, actually, is on minimum wage. We're losing patience. NLC warns federal government. It's on page 2. Bayo, will want to comment on that?
Well, the NLC gave a deadline of December, that by December they are prevailing on the federal government to make a final pronouncement of the national minimum wage. But the national minimum wage still has a long process to go through. It is still with the Federal Executive Council. There is no government white paper produced or published yet. There is no bill sent to the National Assembly yet. It has not gone through the first, second, and third reading at the National Assembly. The National Assembly has not passed it, and the President has not assented to it. Those are the steps that it has to go through before it becomes law. But the Labour has indicated that already national minimum wage is 2 years behind its schedule, and therefore they are no longer prepared to take it. The other one which Kingsley drew attention to is that oil marketers who are threatening to plunge the nation into another situation of fuel crisis if what is owed them is not paid. I'm not too sure if Nigerians will be assuaged by the constant reminder by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation that they have sufficient fuel in their depot to to sustain the nation throughout the period of the Christmas. But this is an alarm that will send Nigerians panicking because Christmas is here.
Absolutely.
All right,
absolutely.
to the editorial taken from the Daily Trust newspaper. It's actually on page 45 of the Daily Trust newspaper. 80 new universities, police is crazy. Now, the Senate recently passed bills for the establishment of 5 polytechnics, 2 universities, 2 colleges of education, and 1 institute of technology. There are the Federal Polytechnics in Cabo, Kano State, Daura, Katsina State, Akom, Cross River State, Langtang, Plateau State, and Kwale Delta State. Others are Federal University of Education at Guleri, Anambra State, Federal University of Technology, Mangkok, Kaduna State, FCE in Iroa, Edo State, and all. Bayo, what is the focus of this editorial? Is it saying that the number is just there are too many?
Well, apparently, before I go to the editorial, let me quickly welcome our Super Falcons, the champions of Africa, African women champion. They are now 9 times champion of African women football. You will recall that they started their winning streak and championships in 1998 when they beat Ghana. They won it again in 2000. They beat Ghana in 2002, and they won in 2006, 2010, 2012, 2016, and Saturday they won the 2018 edition by beating South Africa on penalty kicks. I'm sure many of us were at the edge of our seat watching the penalty kickouts. But Nigeria, South Africa, and Mali have now qualified to represent Africa in the Women's World Cup coming up in France. At their welcoming yesterday, the federal government delegation was led by the Chief of Staff to the President, Alhaji Abakari, and he said, "We say welcome and well done. We are proud of you and your success and responsibility for the country." His 2 eminent Nigerians, he revealed, have made donations to the Super Falcons. One donated 50 million, the other 25 million, because they were all impressed about the success. Don't forget that the NFF had promised them $10,000 each if they won the final. And so for winning, they have earned 10,000 times 22, that's 220,000. If you multiply it by 360, the current exchange rate, that's about 79.2 million naira for the Super Falcons. That will go a long way in developing women football in Nigeria.
You are trying to make some ladies want to go and play football.
Yes, why not? Why not? Now to the universities. The editorial is saying 80 universities and polytechnics and colleges of education is simply crazy. That is the word they use. And they said there's no justification to create 27 more universities, 22 more colleges of education, and 19 polytechnics, when presently our challenge is to fund the 84 public institutions we have. And they supported that with this argument that the current budget, 600 billion, has been budgeted for education, and out of the 367, more than 50% has already gone for tertiary institutions. And you remember, since November 4th, ASU has been on strike for what? Poor funding of Nigerian university. Why create more when the current ones you have cannot be properly funded? So ASU is saying, fund the current one properly rather than create new
ones. So, all right, at this point, Bayo Atoyebi, would like to thank you for your analysis of today's front page striking headlines from the nation's national dailies. Thank you once again, Bayo. We'll see you again tomorrow. All right, you are still watching Good Morning Nigeria, and of course we are going to be discussing one of the political parties contesting election in the 2019 general election, and that's the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, and that will be after this break.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dental Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
You in the air-conditioned office with the itchy throat. Strepsils. Girl in the spotlight with the raspy throat. Strepsils. You in the pollution. Yes, you. Dry throat. Strepsils. Hello in the downpour with the scratchy throat. Take Strepsils. Strepsils, with its soothing medicinal ingredients, will heal the harm done to your throat from external factors. Strepsils. Strepsils. Strepsils, for a dry, itchy, raspy, scratchy throat. Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three put
You are welcome, sir.
as usual. Yeah. I was.
You take that one. You take that one. You don't understand. We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have. You don't have.
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobo to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
How they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
In line with the vision of promoting probity, accountability and transparency in the management of public funds, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has unveiled Compendium on Fiscal Rectitude in Government Revenue and Expenditure.
The Treasury Journal that we've recently launched dwells largely on the operations of the Treasury and in particular the reform initiatives that we drive as the Treasury, namely the Treasury Single Account, the IFSAS implementation, the IPPS, and a host of others.
Very incisive and educating. Grab a copy of the Treasury Journal from your vendor and get abreast with financial transactions such as monthly allocations within the federal, states, and local governments, Buhari's transformation policy on the Treasury, inroads to IGR, and many more mixed grilling stories. Remember, the Treasury Journal is a dependable ally for researchers, financial institutions, the academia, and policymakers. Treasury Journal, a fiscal rectitude in managing public funds.
It's okay, I'm okay.
What happened?
It's just a little scratch, Mom. How can I play with bigger boys if I'm afraid of little scratches, right?
What comforts a mother most is to see her child growing up.
Done, I'll go.
Of course. But I know that as he learns to be brave, he'll face even more germs and the risk of infection.
That's why you need Dettol protection, because Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
You're welcome back, and to set the tone for our conversation on the vision and mission of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, let's take this background report from our correspondent Aisha Obali.
In the last few editions, Good Morning Nigeria has been looking at various parties and their manifestos as they get deeper into campaigning for political offices in the forthcoming general elections. The program this morning focuses on the Grassroots Democratic Party of Nigeria, GDPN, which vision, it says, is to pursue policy of equality, unity, justice and liberty, progress, and above all, the prosperity of every Nigerian. The party held its national convention in September in Abuja, where Davidson Osibo emerged as its presidential candidate. Among other things, the GDPN believes that oil and other natural resources alone cannot take the country to the promised land without prudent resource management, modesty, and good stewardship. It therefore intends to focus on revitalizing key sectors such as education, agriculture, tourism, information and communication, housing, trade, and industry, and social welfare. In specific terms, the party intends to expand access to primary and secondary education as well as develop a national qualification framework to improve quality assurance. There are also promises on security, health, foreign relations, devolution of powers, among others. How does the party hope to sell these promises to Nigerians and get them to buy in with just about 75 days to the general elections? These and many will be raised on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Aisha Bali, for the background report. Joining us now in the studios to discuss the prospects of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria is the presidential candidate of the party, and he is Dr. Davidson Isibo Ahimian. Dr. Ahimian, pleasure to have you with us, and good morning, Nigeria.
I'm delighted. Thank you so much.
Okay. And also here with us in the studios is Ambassador Odion Okpebolo, who is national chairman of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria. Ambassador Okpebolo, pleasure to have you with us too.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And let's also welcome Barrister Yewa Abubakar, National Publicity Secretary of the GDP, and that's the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's glad to have you today on this platform. And we'll begin by asking you, of course, the Publicity Secretary, to lead us into the understanding of what the Grassroots Development Party is all about, and what is the profile of this party?
The Grassroots. Thank you very much for the question. The party, Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, GDPN, is a party for the young people. The party emerged out of a necessity of having the youth participation in the Nigerian political forum. The party generally, Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, has a participation of the youth 35%. That is, we have 35% affirmative participation for the youth, and the women. The party also found it necessary to now involve women in politics, because it is the women that even drive politics in Nigeria. The bulk of the electorate, they are mostly women, and then the youths. Therefore, GDPN found it necessary for the involvement of the women in the party, and we have 40% participation of the women. Be it as it is, the less privileged are not left out in the party, and we have 15% participation for the disabled people in our own party, and the remaining 10% goes to others. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's bring in the chairman of the party itself, Ambassador Okpebolo. When did your party receive its certificate of registration?
Thank you very much. We received our certificate on the 14th of December. That's about a year from now, within a year from now, 14th of December.
Amongst your members, do you have those persons who are currently in elective positions? In other words, Has the Grassroots Democratic Party, at any of the levels, local government, state house of assembly, national assembly, or otherwise, won any, contested and won an election?
That's right. This is the first time we are participating in an election, and I can tell you that we have members, we have candidates in House of Assembly, we have candidates in Senate and House of Rep, coupled with the presidential candidate. So we are all granted. We cover the 36 states in Nigeria, including Abuja. The party is well structured.
So if you are in 36 states of the Federation and since your registration almost a year ago, a number of states have conducted local government elections. I mean, Kano, for instance, is one such state. I think Osun, Kirian also had its local council election. Did the Grassroots Democratic Development Party participate in those local government elections?
Yeah, you're right. This is a party that comes to stay. We don't want to contest any election and lose. If we are not prepared to contest election, we will not go into it. During the period of those elections, we are not actually prepared to do the election. That is why we did not go into the election. But now we are prepared, so that's why we are fighting to get our candidate in place.
All right, thank you. And of course, the presidential candidate is here with us, Dr. Davison Isobo Ahimian. We want to congratulate you once again.
Thank you so much
for emerging as the forebearer, of the party. Now, the word grassroots, connotes that the party is closer to the people, where we have the greater population of this country. Now, what will be the focus of this party if you eventually get to power? What will be your approach to the teeming challenges, in the rural communities across the 774 council areas in Nigeria?
Yes, you see, thank you very much for that question, Kirian. As the name connotes, Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, it's all about grassroots development. If you look at the history of political parties in Nigeria, and you do a study, you'll find that most of the political parties we've had over the years are elitist in nature. I think it's about the first time, or maybe after People's Redemption Party of Aminu Kano, may so rest in peace, that you are having a party that has a semblance of populism, a populist party. With the critical mass of Nigerians who are living on the fringes of society as the major focus of the party's policies and programs. So for us, we are at home, we are on ground, we are for the people who are grassroots people. And I want to let you know that in the past, grassroots was associated with rural dwellers. But today, when you look at economic parameters, you will find that grassroots is not only rural dwellers alone, but people even in urban centers who do not have what you call, who do not enjoy, the good life, so to speak. Today, you have a level 17 officer working in the federal civil service or state civil service who is not able to afford school fees for his children in private schools to get good education. You have a senior officer in the ministry whose salary cannot take him beyond half of the month. So if you're using economic parameters, we will also group those people as grassroots people. So for us, grassroots is not only rural dwellers, but also includes the large mass of people who have been thrown away from the middle class that do not enjoy, the good life. So we are bringing about a restoration of the good life to the peoples of Nigeria. And I with respect to the grassroots people, our rural dwellers, what we are trying to do is that we have studied and found out that a majority of the youths of this country who are not employed, who do not have any job opportunities, they are found mostly in our rural communities. And so we will be looking at this approach of foreign direct investment to bring about industrialization of our rural communities. When our industrialization drive is going to start, we are going to start from the rural communities. After having taken care of infrastructure, after having taken care of our agriculture, we are going to industrialize our rural communities and build new towns. That's what we call NTDAs, New Town Development Authorities, that we are going to set up across board. Build new towns in our rural communities and give them a better life. So for us, you've heard of better life for rural women, better life for rural persons in the past. Those were good programs, but implementation was the problem. But we are going to go and give them concrete better life, for our rural dwellers.
All right, Dr. Akimia, thank you very much. I just wanted to, why do you want to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
I've been asked that question at several fora. Nigeria is a very complex country. And over the years, I am 53 years old. I'm a product of the state, this country. I was trained by the state right from my first primary education up to my degree, my PhD degree. I have come to see Nigeria as a country with great potentials, whose potentials have not been harnessed to the best by successive leaderships. I have traveled widely all over the world, and I've been able to do a comparative study of my country and several other countries of the world, and I see that there's a yawning gap in the area of development, human capacity development, industrial development of my country and countries that you want to compare with it, countries that obtained independence almost at the same time as us, or just a little before us, countries like India, countries like Malaysia, countries like Singapore. And even today, some countries have now become the model of democracy in Africa, like Rwanda, like Ghana. I grew up in this country when we had great expectations. We looked forward to a Nigeria that was going to be the leader of the black race. But as the years continued to go, these expectations began to wane. And for me, all of these was in the area of poor leadership, mismanagement of resources that have brought our country to its knees. Why I want to become president? I have the capacity, I have the competence, I have the pedigree, I have all it takes to galvanize the peoples of this country and take them to Uhuru.
All right.
Could you tell us part of your pedigree?
Right. In the first place, I'm a product of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Today, you will agree with me that the Armed Forces is the microcosm, or it's a microcosm of the Nigerian society. I attended very good institutions, very good schools, both here and abroad. I have a first degree in modern European languages, French, Portuguese combined honors. I'm a retired military officer of the Military Intelligence Extraction. I have a master's degree in international law and diplomacy. I have another master's degree in criminology. I am at the final stages of my PhD in political science with emphasis on peace and conflict resolution. I am the president of the Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners of Nigeria, for that's my TOF. I am a minister of the gospel. I hold a doctorate degree honoris causa in security management and corporate governance from the American Caribbean University. I have been an administrator. I'm a businessman, chairman, King David Group of Companies. I run 5 companies and I employ 8,000 Nigerians in all of my companies.
Fantastic. Now, in terms of Kyria, let's zero in on your core area of competence, security. What are you proposing to do with regard to Nigeria's security challenges?
Yeah. You see, the security problems don't come, from the blues. There are always fundamental and foundational causes of security problems. And if you look at our country, Nigeria, our security problems have always been approached from the point of view of combative measures. There's a need to study why we are having the problems that we're having, from terrorism right down to armed robbery and kidnappings. Do a proper study of this. And taking it seriously, you will see that it's a fallout of the economy. The poor state of our economy. When people are unemployed, when there's a yawning gap between the rich and the poor, when there's no development of human capacity, when there's a disconnect between government and people, you're bound to have these security problems. So what am I talking about? I'm giving you causative factors, thereby providing solutions. Now, there's also the issue of the pluralism of our country. Nigeria is a very complex country. So it's important to understand the composition of the country, its peoples and cultures, the expectations of different groups, for you to be able to govern this country in a manner that there will be fairness and justice for all. Injustice is one of the major problems with governance in this country. When you have addressed the economy factor, you address the justice factor, you will reduce security problems to the barest minimum.
All right. Thank you, the presidential candidate of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria. You've really come a long way, and you have outlined what you think should be done if Nigeria is actually handed over to you by way of voting you into power as president of this country. Well, in the course of the program, we'll also get into the nitty-gritty of how you intend to practicalize some of the things you have enumerated. For now, let's go to Ambassador Odion Obabolo, who is the national chairman of the EDPN. Let me ask you this question. What is for your followership? What does it look like? Do you really have the kind of followership that will identify with your name, which is a Grassroots Development Party?
Yeah, thank you very much. I can tell you that this party, before we received the certificate of the registration, we have been on our ground. We were running an NGO called Global Network for Peace in Nigeria, which metamorphosed to Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria. So before now, we've already structured ourselves, structured the party to the local level, to the world level. I can tell you that we have enough people who will back us up to win this election, 2019.
Well, it's probably an unfair question to ask because political parties in the country often struggle to give you the number of their members on their register. But do you have an indication of how many members you have?
Yeah, I can tell you that we have more than 10 million members for now, and we are still working on them.
Oh, you have a register of 10 million members?
Yes, yes.
Good. Now, let me also ask this question. Because I asked the question earlier and you responded to it, and your presidential candidate has also elaborated on it. Some persons would find it somewhat incongruous that you are a new political party, probably just about a year old. Your focus is the grassroots. And rather than seeking to start from the base, you are seeking to build a house from the roof. Why is this so? You're going for the presidential election. In the meantime, the local council elections came and went by. You showed no interest.
Yeah, but I just told you earlier that we are not here to lose any election. We must be prepared to do election before we go into it, okay? And I can tell you that we are be preparing for this general election. So we've already structured ourselves for this general election. We don't want to go into election and fail. Let me give you one election that we went for in Osun State. I can tell you that we went for Osun State in the governorship election. We came out 7th. Out of 48, we came out 7th.
How many votes did you get?
I don't want to say that.
Okay.
I don't want to say that, but
no,
I don't want to say that. But at least we came out 7th.
7th is a figure, but what is it?
The most important thing is that out of 48, that you took a 7th. It's a pass mark.
Yes,
it's a pass mark.
Okay.
It's a pass mark. Now,
what was the distance between?
That is why.
No, that's another matter altogether. Okay. Barrister Yawa. Exactly. Barrister Yawa Abubakar, you are the National Publicity Secretary of the party. And of course, you spoke earlier on about how you are galvanizing women and the youth, to give the support the party needs to, of course, scale up its participation in politics in Nigeria. Now, what is the guarantee that you have that followership from the women folk and the youth? What are you doing, to galvanize this section of Nigerians to support the party?
Yeah, thank you for that question. We have been doing a lot. From the grassroots, we have been holding meetings with the women, and they have been coming out for our calls, because there is one thing now. The country, they are in need of a different party with different ideology. And they want somebody that is different. In a nutshell, they want a different face in our own political system now. Because they are tired of seeing one face and hearing the same thing. So, for us to now come out, especially, this is the first in the history of this country for any political party to give women 40% participation. Not even the Belgian conference, they did not give them that. Belgian conference, I think, gave 35%. So they are happy that they are being considered as the drivers of the political system in the country. So, and our party, we are educating them. We are not just, we are doing something different. We go, we go to the rooters. We meet them there at the grassroots. We parley with them one-on-one, and they are happy because, do you know one thing? They have that sense of belonging. What Nigerians want actually is for them to even belong. All these grassroots people, we now find out that they are the voters. They determine who will be there, but they have been neglected. Therefore, our own party, the grassroots, as the name suggests, we now show them that they are the most important in the in our own political setting, and that we need them. There is nothing we can do without them. And we go to them, we discuss with them, they tell us their own problems.
All right, Yawa Abubakar, thank you very much. Let's bring in again the presidential candidate of the party, that's Davidson Ahimie. I mean, it's often said that ambitions are free, and that, of course, the field will determine what the outcome would be. We've had cause to ask this question of some of the presidential candidates, and I'm sure that your party and your various, members of your secretariat are also picking up intelligence with regard to what would appear to be sentiments being expressed. How popular those sentiments are is a different consideration. Oh, that the 2019 general elections, particularly the presidential election, will be a two-horse race. They said, oh, two persons who are from the same ethnic stock, from the same religious group, from the same geographical part of the country, and therefore others would seem to be outsiders. Would you consider yourself to be an outsider or a serious candidate?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In this election, there are pretenders and there are contenders. I'm a contender extraordinaire in this 2019 presidential election. Now, you see, it's important for us we're talking about building cohesion, a cohesive society, okay? And at the level of parties, we are bringing divisiveness in the country. This thing about zoning is itself a divisive element. If you are looking for merit and you are trying to build a merit factor as a driver of development in Nigeria, I think we have to drop this zoning thing. You bring somebody from a zone who is probably not able to perform as another man from another zone, and you are looking at the ultimate goal, which is developing the nation, and you are killing development at the altar of zoning. I am a Nigerian. I believe in Nigeria like any other presidential candidate. And I'm out there to compete for the presidency of my country, irrespective of what zone I come from. I'm as Nigerian as any other person. So we have to begin to look at Nigeria from the point of view of Nigeria and not from the point of view of region, ethnic group, and the rest. We have to drop this thing called ethnicity. The Nigeria of tomorrow, which we represent, my party is at the cutting edge of that dream of a new Nigeria where tongue, tribe, and creed will no longer hold us back. And we will move as one great country. We can only build a great country when we have this perspective.
Okay, well taken. Let me ask you this. Let us, because I was thinking towards looking at the manifesto of the party.
That's right.
Looking at how the party intends to tackle the major developmental challenges in the country. We have issues with education. We, of course, we've spoken on security. We have the issue of university education, ASU, for instance. We have the issue of unemployment and economic imbalance. Nigeria, someone said that Nigeria does not have any international product to boast of apart from our crude oil, which is, of course, is a raw material. Now, how do you intend to address all of these? Because, well, as a party, we expect you to have a manifesto that will take towards problem solving. Could you lead us into this?
Yeah, we have a manifesto, like every other party. But you see, I'd like Nigerians to understand. You see, manifestos are just words on paper, okay? They are good, they give direction. But more importantly are the drivers of the manifesto. The people that work on the manifesto, the persons that you are going to elect into office. You are not electing a manifesto into office, you are electing drivers who are going to drive the programs of the manifesto, okay? So it's important for people beyond the manifesto and all of these policy documents that we are seeing being paraded left, right, and center. We've seen them in the past. But we are looking at personalities. We are looking at track record. We are looking at pedigree. Now, coming to our manifesto. As a grassroots development party, we have discovered that one of the major problems that we have had with regards to development in our country is the lack of human capacity development. And so for us, honestly, education is a major thrust of our development agenda, a major thrust. Where you have a population of 200 million people, and about 60% of that population is illiterate. It's illiterate. After having our independence since 1960, after having been the 7th or 6th largest producer of oil in the world, it is a disservice to the people of this country to still have 60% of your people illiterate. When your people are illiterate in this manner, they will not be able to interrogate power. When your people are illiterate in this manner, they will not be able to even drive development, nor even understand developmental programs of government in order to cooperate with government to achieve its ends. So we are going to be looking at education. And for us, education is going to be tweaked. Today, when you look at our curriculum in our tertiary institutions, you'll find that we are not addressing the major areas that drive development in 21st century global environment. So we are going to be tweaking our curriculum. We are going to national development in today's world. Then we are also going to be looking at how to improve on the quality of instruction. What happened in Kaduna State, where tests were set for teachers, and most of the teachers could not even pass the test that they set for their students, was a disgrace, a national disgrace. However, it was a revelation. It was a revelation of how we have decayed as far as our education was concerned. So we are going to be looking at training and retraining of teachers, evaluation and re-evaluation of the teaching staff. There's a decay not only of instruction, but also of infrastructure. So we are going to be looking at our universities and see how to restore them to past glory.
A major issue that has arisen with regard to education, particularly at the tertiary level, is funding. How do you intend to address this?
Yes, you see, I'll give you some. I'll give you an example. Because it's such a critical aspect of national development. You know, government cannot do everything. So one of the innovative ways that we are going to fund education is that we are going to cooperate with the private sector. We are going to do a lot of PPP in the education sector because it requires great funding. Then going beyond that, we are going to ensure that universities are self-sustaining. They run the institutions as a business in order to generate what you call internal revenue on their own, to help government subventions, to meet the standards that we expect. So we have mapped out all of these intervention strategies, to bring our education back on board. We are also looking at our vocational institutes. It's not compulsory that everybody must go to the university. Not everybody is wired for a degree. But there are people that have competencies and potentials in the skills, mini skills area that can also contribute their quota to national development and even earn a very good livelihood.
All right, I'm wondering, let's pause here in the meantime and bring in again the party chairman, that's Ambassador Kwebulu. What is the disposition of your party towards local governments in Nigeria?
We have several local governments.
74.
Sorry, 774 local governments in the country. And I can tell you that all the local governments, we have structure there.
No, I'm talking about the governance.
The governance.
Yes, the governance of the local governments, because, the word outside is that local governments would appear to have failed woefully, especially since 1999. Local governments have been emasculated by the state governments, and there's a call for autonomy. That's why I say, what is the disposition?
Yeah. For if the governors are still conducting the local government election today, I don't think we will have good governance in the local government, which what they have been doing. And they impose people as the chairman and the councillor. I can tell you of my state, Edo State. The last local government election was just imposed. They just imposed all the chairman and all the councillor. So in that case, there's no governor there. That is why you see the development is lost in the local government.
How would your party address the system?
How we will address it? We will make sure that the local government election must be conducted free and fair, and also the INEC should take the local government election on board, not to give them to the state. So that's the problem we are having, and we have been talking about that in our meeting with INEC. We have been talking about that the INEC should pick it up, not to give it up to the state, because the state, they are frauding the local government system.
So you are advocating that
Yes.
state electoral commissions should be disbanded?
Yes, should be disbanded, because they are not doing the right thing.
But that will require constitutional
Yes,
amendment.
yeah, that will require constitutional amendment. So that's what we have been agitating to INEC.
All right. What appears to be the final question, because the time is not on our side here. Let me return to Barrister Yewa Abubakar. Does your party have chances? Kingsley raised an issue concerning whether the party is not just starting from the roof down, instead of from down up to the roof, with respect to engaging in councillorship elections, local government elections, state elections before coming to the federal. What are your chances?
Like as I said earlier, thank you for that question also, our chances is very bright. Very bright, not minding that we did not participate in the local council's election, because we did not participate because as of that time we were issued with a certificate, we couldn't have participated in some of the local government elections. But our own chances, it is very bright, because if you go through our own manifesto and you see what we have to offer to the people and what we have been telling them one-on-one, and our own confidence in our own presidential candidates and our governors and our gubernatorial candidates, the Senate and the House of Reps, the House of Assemblies, we all have them there, and they are people who will even push it.
What may be supposed to ask, do you have the financial muscle to actually contend with the existing political parties, especially the two major political parties in Nigeria? Chairman.
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. This money vote buying, which what we have been talking about. I'm talking of something. I'm talking of waiting.
You have to organize your rallies.
We have the capacity to organize our rally. In fact, before now, we have been going around, moving around the whole country with branded cars.
Ingredients will heal the harm done to your throat from external factors. Strepsils! Strepsils! Strepsils, for a dry, itchy, raspy, scratchy throat.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
All right, you welcome back, and I say good morning, Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Football fans and indeed Nigerians in general are still celebrating the 9th title of the Super Falcons as winners of the African Women's Cup of Nations that took place in Ghana just after the weekend. Let's take the highlights of the final match between Nigeria and South Africa and see how the Super Falcons triumphed over their South African counterparts. All right, congratulations to the Super Falcons and Kyrian. Here we are with the trophy that they won at the weekend, beating their South African counterparts on penalty shootout. You saw the shootout there again. Once again, we'd like to say congratulations to the Super Falcons. We have two of the players and two of the officials right here with us in the studios, and we'd like to introduce them right away so that we can discuss this. First, we'd like to welcome Ruth David, who is head of women's football at the Nigerian Football Federation. Ruth, pleasure to have you with us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And the coach of the successful team is head coach of the Super Falcons, Thomas Deneby. Pleasure to have you with us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Pleasure to be here.
All right, Kira.
Now also we have a captain of the Super Falcons, Rita Chikwalu. Rita Chikwalu, it's good to have you on Good Morning Nigeria. And, well, the coach has made us to understand that he has two captains, and the other one is a vice captain. Well, we named her here, but he said she's also a captain. She is Onome Ebi. Onome Ebi, good to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you very much.
You know, Kira, just before we introduced the guests, I was remarking that, in a sense, the facial features of Onome Ebi almost look like that of Chioma Ajunwa. Chioma Ajunwa was the first athlete to win an individual Olympic gold medal, and that was on the long jump at the Atlanta Olympics. If you look at her again, when she comes on, look at her. You see, she looks like... Okay, once again, ladies, congratulations for the 9th time. You are African champions, and it's truly heartwarming for us as a country on this occasion. Let's begin with the coach, Thomas Deneby. How difficult was this victory?
Yeah, it was a really tough game, as everybody know. We met a really good team, South Africa, so we have to do our very best game. And I think over the tournament, the final was probably the best game we have. We have a rock-solid defense, and the attacking play was better this time. But we still need to improve the attacking play a little. But of course, it was a good victory.
Well, before we leave you, did you have any difficulty in selecting the girls that you took to Ghana?
It's always difficult for the coach to do that because the last 2 nights before you pick the squad, the final squad, you are sleepless, you are thinking what you've seen on training sessions and so on. But when you're done, you feel very comfortable, so no problem with that.
All right, Rita Chikwalu, you were right there on the pitch. What was the motivating factor, and how sweet is this victory?
I would say the victory is so sweet. Before the game, we just talked so much about this game before the final. We lost against South Africa in the opening game, and we don't want to lose against them again. We talk, we know how important this game is for us, and we want to keep our respect in Africa.
All right, let's start with the Chikwalu. South Africa really prepared for this final game. I listened to the interview granted by their coach, and she said, look, that they want to have a double record with this, beating you in the preliminary stage and, of course, beating you in the finals, and again to get the trophy. How was it in the camp after you lost to South Africa during the preliminaries?
I think this is Rita. My name is AB.
AB, okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, after the loss against South Africa, it wasn't easy for us in the camp because we were not expecting the loss, and the camp was kind of moody at first, but on the other hand, we have to encourage ourselves that it's the first game, and you know, we have our board members, NFL board members, our technical staff. They have to talk to us that this is the first game. And if you could remember, we had the kind of competition like in Warri. I could not remember the year that we lost to Ghana. in the first game, and they end up playing the finals, Nigeria vs Ghana in the finals, and we won. So NFF management spoke to us that this happened the last time, so we can repeat it again. So we should go. We lost to them now. We might meet in the finals, and we'll prove ourselves that we're better. And that was what happened. So we took that and we encouraged ourselves. We talked to ourselves, and the NFF keep motivating us with words of encouragement and kind of bonuses, increment, and all that. So all that ginger us. We spoke to ourselves with the comments we'll be reading. Our fans praying for us in Nigeria, asking us to go, we can do it. So that motivated us so much that we have to go all out in the finals and came out successfully.
All right, thanks a lot. In fact, when we were hearing about the bonuses that were being escalated, some of us were offering, Kieran, you remember, along with our newspaper reviewer, Bayo Atoyebi, to lend our legs so that, we could also share in the bonuses. But once again, let's bring in Ruth David, who is head of women's football at NFF. What does this victory mean? I mean, 9 times, so what?
It means a lot. It's like kind of our birthright. If we had not won it, I don't know what Nigerians would have done to us. The players really wanted to win it. When we lost to South Africa, just as Oneme has said, their morale was down. We kind of talked to them, and we had the former NFF chairperson, who is now one of the member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ayo Omidiran, who spoke to them and told them that during her time, when she came in as the board member, the first assignment she got into, she lost the match. They lost the match to Ghana, and she spoke to the girls then that they shouldn't just think that they're going to lose completely. They should have confidence in themselves that victory will be theirs at the end of the day. So she spoke to them and told them how she did it then. That got into them, and she kept on talking to them, until they now believed in themselves and had that confidence that they will be able to do it.
Okay, but justly, I want to ask Thomas Dunnery, which department of the game, did you find difficulties, during this tournament in terms of defense, midfield and attacking? So, in which area did you fault your players that led to perhaps the loss that they encountered between them and South Africa?
Yeah, first of all, as I said already earlier, during the tournament, the defense was rock solid. And I'm just not talking about only the defenders. The whole team defend very, very well. And we also scored a lot of goals, but to be honest, we scored a lot of goals against a little bit weaker teams. And what we really have to improve now is the attacking play when we play the best ones. And definitely we have to work with our finishing, because when you play the best teams in the world, you will probably get 3 or 4 chances maximum each game, and then you have to score 1 or 2 of them. So we have to work with our build-up play, the way we finish the attacks and so on. But yeah, and also don't forget about the defense, so we can keep it as good as this tournament.
Which leads us actually to next point. Nigeria now has qualified for the Women's World Cup, which is coming up in France. But it would appear, unfortunately, that we haven't been as successful on the global stage as we have on the continental stage. What should Nigerians expect next year?
From my point of view, I think we have a good tournament. If we can go all the way to a quarterfinal, that would be really, really good. And I think we have a really good chance to do that. But of course, if we want to play a quarterfinal, we have to have proper preparations all the way. We can't miss any FIFA-friendly dates at all. We need to have camps on a regular basis, because the best teams in the world, they are together 70 to some teams 150 days a year, and we need to come together and work with the team regularly. That's the most successful way to have a good tournament.
Now, Rita, the question that Kingsley posed to your head coach is very important. You are going to a global stage now, not no more continental. Of course, you're the queens of the continental football in Africa. Now, moving to that global level, the Super Falcons has not really done much with respect to getting laurels from across the globe. So, what is in the mind of yourself as the captain, and of course the minds of others who are now qualified to represent Nigeria next year?
Yeah, like our coach said, if we can get good preparation, have friendly games as much as we can, that will help the team to do well in the World Cup, not only to participate but go beyond the quarterfinal.
And Onome, are you and your colleagues, are you mentally ready for next year's World Cup? I asked the question because if you took a look at the history of the Super Falcons over the years, there was always a nightmare. One lady from the U.S. known as Mia Hamm. You know, each time we met her, you know, you could see what the outcome was. But you ladies have grown, and 9 times continental champions. How mentally ready are you to take on the world?
I would say before even going for this African Nations Cup, we've made up our mind that we're going for the trophy and we're going to qualify for the World Cup. So definitely, you know, we are 100% mentally ready for any challenge that will come after this Nations Cup. And yes, we've done that, we've qualified. What we have to face now is how we're going to prepare for the World Cup, because I think we have like 6 or 7 months to the World Cup. So, and I believe NFF has assured us of our friendly games, because I think that will go a long way. It's very important for the players, because that will help us come together as a team and train as a team. And I will also urge that we have sponsors that will help in making all this happen, because football, you need sponsorship to make things possible. I will say it's not just the NFF. If any board members can, support for things to happen for the Falcons to go far, to have everything they demand for to go far, I think that will go a long way as well.
And staying with you, Onome, the question we put to your head coach, I'd like you to come in there, because you're a player yourself on the pitch. And that question is, in which area of the game do you think you need improvement in terms of the departments, the defense or attacking force, or the midfield? Which areas do you think you need to fine-tune, before next year's World Cup?
I would say every department still need improvement. Defense, midfield, attack. Even the goalkeeper will still need improvement. And I think the coach will definitely work on that, because African tournament is not same as the World Cup. There's a very big difference in terms of experienced players and all that. So I believe the coach will definitely work on that from the start to the finish. Defense, midfield, attack, goalkeeper. I think we all need improvement.
Ruth David, yeah.
The coach said, using all the FIFA windows, luckily we're going to be having qualifiers, all Africa Games qualifiers, Olympics qualifiers. So it's going to complement the FIFA windows playing we're going to have too.
When are those tournaments? Because he also talked about friendlies. The head coach also talked about friendlies, exposing the players to friendlies and not missing any of the scheduled friendlies. So how prepared is the NFF to adhere to a disciplined schedule with regard to preparations?
He has submitted his program. He has one for 28th to 7th March, right, in Cyprus. And after that, he will update us more on more friendlies he wants. But for now, the one we're sure of is 28th to 7th of March. 28th February to 7th March in Cyprus.
Alongside the expanded program schedule,
yes,
for that. Fine.
Yes.
Kieran, I want us to go back to Coach Denemy. Now, observers of women's football will have noticed a shrinkage in the gap between the top national teams, the Super Falcons, for instance, and the others. Years ago, during the reign of Florence Omagbemi and others, we could wallop a team 6-0 and so on and so on. If South Africa, we were beating them routinely. But now the gap has narrowed considerably. Now that's on the African continent. Why is it that on the global stage, the gap appears not to have narrowed between the top teams and indeed other teams coming from elsewhere?
Yeah, my personal opinion is a little bit of what we are talking about earlier also. It's all about preparations, because even if Nigeria will bring in the 11 best players in the world and say tomorrow they start the tournament, you have to play this tournament together, we will not have success, because even the best players in the world need to come together, because creating a good team is also exactly to know the moments of your teammates. When she moves that way with her first step, she wants the ball here. When she goes like this, she wants the ball here. And that is nothing that you can read in a book or something. You need to work together on a daily basis to find out your teammates' best strengths. So yeah, that's all about how many times you can come together. And the best ones, they are together really, as I said, 70 to 150 days, depends on which team. So they have time to work with it.
Now, are you considering the introduction of new players? Are you still interested, in discovering a new talent across the globe? Because we understand that many Nigerian ladies or girls are playing across the globe. Are you interested in injecting new blood, into the team preparatory for next year's World Cup?
Of course, a part of my job is to detect new players, definitely. And we have camps for the domestic players. I think we have had like 3 or 4 camps already with domestic players. And after we have the camp with the domestic players, we're trying to find out who are the best ones in the domestic league and which one are the one that we are searching for that can come together with the professional girls that are playing abroad. So we're working with that. But it's also a good time for me when the league is running to go out and see different games, but sometimes the league is running at the same time when we are together with the national team. So, but I'm trying as much as possible to go out and find new young players. And if you look at the team now, we have one player that have her 18th anniversary when we were away. We have players that are 19 years old. And if you look at the average age in the tournament, we were in the middle. I think Zambia had the youngest, so I think we have an average age of like 25.5 years or something. And that is not much at all if you look on the international level. The best teams in the world, they are almost up to 30.
Do you think that our women are getting into football early enough?
Early enough?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. This continent and this country have so many talented players. I work as the head coach in Sweden for almost 8 years, and I can see that the players here, they are as talented as the Swedish players, but as we talk about already so many times, in Sweden we come together so much more, and that gives the coaches and the players a better opportunity to have success. But you have the players here, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. Kyria, let's take some of the tweets that have come in. Quite a number, of course, expressing joy and happiness at the success of the Super Falcons. Zile Jack Solomon has this tweet. It says, congratulations to the Super Falcons on their victory over South Africa in the final match of the 11th African Women's Cup of Nations. Now, I implore the team to keep up the good work.
All right, and from Chris Simeon, he says, kudos to Super Falcons. They have made us proud.
And Idris, Gidado, Leo, our girls, making us proud over and over again. They deserve all the support and encouragement from everyone. Congratulations.
And from Mike Anyakwa, the Super Falcons victory is a very big honor to Nigeria and Nigerians. We say a big congratulations to our girls. This is a clarion call on all Nigerians in all facets of human life.
All right, Awunuji Joshua, that's Metro, is tweeting here controversially, I would say, Nigerian women football teams are far better than the men's. Let's do all we can to motivate and sustain our angels. Maybe they should have a clash of the Super Eagles and Super Falcons.
Go and break their legs. They are playing the World Cup next year. All right, Delajak Solomon says, we commend the team for holding its collective nerve in a second successive penalty shootout to clinch the trophy and be the best female national team on the African continent. Yet again, we congratulate you all.
And actually, that's the much that we can take from in terms of the tweets that we have. I just again let's return to the ladies. The captain and the vice captain. We understand Rita, of course, who wears the captain's band. In terms of the domestic league and general preparation or environment for women's football, are the prospects there for growth? Are there sponsors? Do you have the right kind of fan or club or fan support base that you need? What would you like to see more with regard to women's football in Nigeria?
I would like to see more sponsor and more facility for the domestic league because we have a very good players, young players that are willing to play football, but we need to have sponsor for that and facility where they can play the league. And we can have, if we can have fans to watch the game, that will help the clubs also.
Onome? What would you like to see more with regard to women's football in Nigeria?
Yeah, first I would say I'll comment what my colleague said in terms of sponsorship. Actually, we've been talking about the sponsorship for a very long time in terms of female football, though. I think we don't have much of that in the female football. I don't know the reason why it keeps happening, but that will go a long way if we can have sponsorship, not just from the NFF. Like, we need more corporate brands to support the Super Falcons. I think that will help. And as well, as you mentioned again, our local league, I think for now we're going higher more than what we used to be before. But I think with the same sponsorship and facilities to train with, equipment to train with, I think that will go a very long way as well. And I want, we have this support from the fans all over Nigeria. They are 100% supportive in the female side. I think that too, it's helping us. For the sponsorship, I will keep saying it, we need more from corporate brands to support us.
And just before we go, very briefly to Ruth David, in terms of sponsorships talking about, what is the role of NFF in this direction?
Getting sponsors for the women has been very difficult. But what we do is, when those that sponsor the men, we use it to complement the women teams. That's what the NFF has been able to do.
Okay, that's Ruth David, head of women's football at the Nigeria Football Federation. And then thanks a lot for being with us on the program. Thomas Deneby, the successful head coach of the Super Falcons, just back now from the victory in Ghana, beating South Africa 4-3 on penalties to win for the 9th time the trophy. And we also have Rita Chikelo, captain of the Super Falcons, to thank for being with us on Good Morning Nigeria today, as well as Onome Ebi, vice captain of the Super Falcons. Ladies, congratulations, and we wish you the very best in your next endeavor. And of course, we hope that you are not going to leave this trophy with us here in the studios. Kirian, what do we do? Let's put it in one of our cabinet to display it. Okay, all right, let's take a short break, but we understand, so let's go to the foreign scene and find out what's happening on the world beat.
Burundi's ambassador to the United Nations, Albert Shingiro, has called out the African Union Commission for interfering in the country's political affairs after the latter issued a statement on an ultimately judicial initiative in the Eastern African nation. Burundi issued an international arrest warrant on Friday against its former president, as well as 11 senior members of the security forces. Warrants were also issued to 5 of President Buyoya's former close civilian collaborators, all accused of allegedly playing a role in the 1993 assassination of the country's first democratically elected Hutu president. A Saudi-UAE coalition fighting Yemen's Houthi movement says 50 wounded rebels will be evacuated for treatment to Oman's Muscat in a plane belonging to the United Nations. The announcement on Monday came after Martin's Griffiths, the UN envoy to Yemen, requested this arrangement as a goodwill gesture ahead of the planned peace talks in Sweden. The evacuation marks a key step forward in kickstarting stalled negotiations as world powers press for an end to the devastating 4-year war in Yemen. The fate of the wounded rebels had been a stumbling block to the start of a previous round of aborted peace talks in September.
And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Breakfast Show on NTA Network Service. My name is Kirian Umar. Have a great day.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Thanks for your company. You have a lovely day ahead of you.